off or something?
No, switches and stuff.
Got a bad landlord back here. We'll turn the heat up. We're just going to turn the oven and the stove or
The landlords can't afford the heat right now.
Is that what happened in the budget cuts?
How about put a donation jar?
I think it's nice in here, actually.
It's all plastic too. We can't just break it up.
Wait. Anything is a little warm.
Trucks, what do you keep your home temperature at?
Yeah.
What's this one at outside?
This is 66.
I'm at 65.
What?
65 and I have a fan on myself too.
I'm like,
Remember, he walks around in the winter with no coat on.
Yeah.
we know where you go
We were
vacation.
built for winter.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting in order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, first thing we have tonight is Ricky's going to talk to us about the Renaissance Zone. So I'll turn it over to you, Ricky, and hopefully Nicole won't ask you too many questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm happy to be here to talk about the Renaissance Zone program. Are you hearing me okay? I've got a little bit of an echo on my side.
Yep, we hear you great.
Maybe if you mute.
Maybe if I mute
Okay,
myself here.
wonderful.
I'll mute
Well,
myself and we'll
You guys
see
hear?
if that works.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay, that might work. And just unmute if anybody has any questions as I'm going through this. So for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Ricky Rourke. I'm the Deputy Director of the Division of Community Services. So I work across many of the programs that we have at DCS. But the one that I've been with the longest is the Renaissance Zone program. So I'm really happy to be here tonight just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the program is, what it's supposed to do, and answer any questions you have about how it operates in your community. So with that, I'll just dive in. I've got about a 10-minute presentation on what the program is in general. If you have any questions throughout it, feel free to unmute and let me know, or I can take questions at the end, whatever works best. With Renaissance program, what it is at its very core, or what it's supposed to be, is a partnership between the state and municipalities. So currently we have over 55 Renaissance zones throughout the state. They all operate a little bit differently. They're very unique in each community, but all of them have both state and local tax benefits. So that's where the partnership really comes into play. I have the authority to grant any property tax exemptions at the local level, and you folks don't have the authority to grant state income tax exemptions, but together through this program, when we combine them, we usually make more of an impact by just working together to give a better package to applicants so you guys can work on targeted reinvestment in the community. It's also there to address slum and blight, maximize the use of existing infrastructure, and then help communities achieve their community development, economic development goals. The program started in 1999. Really, our legislature saw that we had languishing downtowns and the rehab costs are a lot higher than new development. That still holds true today. And at the time, there was a focus on annexing land, creating new developments, and that edge development, as many of you know, creates long-term cost burden to the community. So the Renaissance Zone program was a way to have communities look at targeted areas that they want to attract reinvestment and then provide incentives for that targeted reinvestment. Just a couple of things about the program. You do have to opt in. It's not automatic. So just because we have the program at the state level doesn't mean every community has one. You have to be proactive and take steps. Every community does have to draft a development plan. So I think I mentioned we have over 55 zones right now. They are all different. So that's a really big thing about the program, and one of the reasons I think it's been so successful is that it emphasizes local control. So we really want the community to identify the goals that you want and then structure the program in a way that's going to help you accomplish those goals. The example I like to give there, where we see a lot of variation from one community to the next, is like with the project types. For a purchase-only project, we see some communities allow it, some don't. The difference is usually in our big communities versus small ones. So the larger cities in the state typically will not allow that as a type of project in their community, because typically their goals are to increase the tax base. So with a purchase-only project, they're not increasing any taxable value. When we look at how small communities use the Renaissance Zone program, they have different goals. A lot of times it's to attract or retain residents, to fill vacant spaces in downtowns. And so they will allow, in many instances, a purchase-only project and say that they're willing to give up the property taxes for 5 years or 8 years in order to fill the building, attract a new business to the town, retain a business. It depends on, the specific project. But the point there is that it's really up to the community in terms of what you want to allow and what goals you're trying to achieve. Related to approval, City Council does have to approve the overall Renaissance Zone plan, which includes the district, the boundaries, all of the properties, and then you've got a plan from everyday management to those overarching goals. We also require a strategic plan because we want to know how the Renaissance Zone program is going to work with your city's overall strategic plan. And then the school district and county have to provide letters of support for the creation of the Renaissance Zone. And then again, if you opt to renew it, we want the county to have a chance to review it and on whether they want to move forward with it or not. The steps with the Renaissance Zone. So once a community has the Renaissance Zone, it's in effect for 15 years. You can make changes at any time, but you do have to have a public hearing and have City Council approve it. But once that zone is established, we have a memorandum of agreement between the community and the city. So that allows us to offer both those tax incentives, which are always married. I do get questions like, can we just offer this or just offer the other one? No, they're always hand in hand. So the projects get initial approval both at the local level and at the state level. You guys would approve it locally, and then it comes to the state. I look at your development plan and make sure that the project is allowable in your development plan and that it meets the state guidelines. And that's really the green light for the project to move forward. Once it's done, the city verifies the completion of it. Sometimes they have to verify that a certain level of investment has actually been put into the project. And then once that's done, they would request the final approval, and that's when we would issue that final completion date, and that's the date that the benefits begin. To get the state income tax, applicants, it doesn't matter if they're commercial or residential projects, the applicants will fill out, it's called the Schedule RZ on their income tax form, and then the city works with the county on the property tax exemptions. Just a few things about what we require with the program. There's no new development allowed, so we can't look at anything that's greenfield or has been undeveloped in the past. You can use the program for infill though. So if you have a lot that was previously developed and something was on it and was demolished and now you want to do infill, that is allowable. It does have to include both commercial and residential properties. The zone boundaries are contiguous. There's an exception, you can have up to 2 3-block islands. So that would be separate from the primary contiguous zone. Once it's established, the zone goes for 15 years, and after that, you can get 10-year extensions available. If you want. City doesn't have to, and we've had some that say, it's done what we wanted to, and they've let lapse. It used to be that if you lapsed, you couldn't come back into the program, but that was changed in the last legislative session, so if the community does let their zone lapse, they can now decide at a later date to re-enter the program. So this slide shows an overview of the different types of projects that are allowable at the state level. Again, this is entirely up to the community though. You could offer all of these projects or only some of them. It really depends on the goals that you want to achieve in your community. I've talked a lot about the income tax and property tax incentives. There's also historic preservation and renovation tax credits available in the program. So qualifying projects could get 25% of the credits for the investment up to a maximum of $250,000. Those projects are a little bit more involved, and early on, if you have one in your community, I'll start working with you in conjunction with the state SHPO office. We have to make sure that we're meeting their standards. You can qualify for multiple incentives, so like I said, so you can get that historic tax credit, property tax, and income tax. You can layer all of those on if they're all eligible. The building can have multiple taxpayers, so even though a building can only be a property or Renaissance zone project once in 30 years, on the renovation side, you can offer benefits to lessees. But again, that's capped at 1. So if you rehab the building owner would qualify for benefits, and then the tenant would also qualify for benefits only once, and then it's not eligible again for 30 years. The caps on the benefits on commercial projects, it's capped at $500,000 of income derived from the qualifying project each eligible year. That does have to be income derived from the location. So if it's a business that's in multiple communities and only one of them is a Renaissance zone project, they can only exempt income that comes from that location. The property tax exemptions, again, that's an area where the communities have discretion in determining what they want to offer. Most communities do 100% for 5 years, except for the land. The land is never abated. But I've seen communities structure it differently. Some of them have done 100% year 1, 80% year 2, 60% year 3, and so forth. Some of them do 50%, some of them do 100% on the value of the improvements. So you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can offer. And then for residential projects, these go towards an individual's state income tax return, and it is only available for owner-occupied single-family homes. Multi-family properties are eligible, but they would be defined as a commercial project rather than residential. So on the residential side, those benefits are capped at income tax credit of up to $10,000 for each year that the benefits run. And again, the local property tax exemptions vary by community. So that's really the really quick, rough outline of the program, and I know that was really fast. So at this time, I'd love to be available for any questions about the program, because I know, like I said, it operates differently in every community, and I really want to be helpful in answering the questions you have about our community.
Mic is on. Anybody have questions?
I do. You knew that was
I knew it was.
Under the State Historic Preservation Office, who determines if it's historic? Is it in the town log, or is it the age of the building? Like, who determines what that is, if it falls under that?
That's the SHPO office themselves. So we have a contact there. His name's Tom Lynn. So the community would reach out and work with him to ensure that it qualifies as a historic property.
The only other second question I have is on a purchase. Is it, if it's under the Renaissance zone and purchase is part of that, is it, purchase can only be used one time, or if they change owners, could it be used again, or how does that work? I mean, has any communities dealt with the purchase?
Yep, that's a great question. So it can be used one time in 30 years. Then it's not available again until that 30 years is up. But if the ownership transfers within the benefit term, which is 5 years for Hillsboro, we can transfer the benefits to the new owner.
Oh, sorry, she froze. Come on, be nice. Oh, it's because the internet's being silly.
They are. When was Hillsboro Renaissance Home passed?
Let me look that up for you. Let me try to lower my bandwidth usage too.
Sorry, guys, our internet was a little goofy, so sorry
I
about
thought you were
that.
calling me out. I'm like, it's just emails. But
Totally understand. I can hear you now, but I didn't catch the question.
Okay. Oh, did she
Yeah,
pretty much
yes.
answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's all I had, so.
okay. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Jim, you got any?
Well, just because it just came up, Ricky, this is Jim Murphy, when you were off, can you hear me? Because I'm quite a ways away. Those are pretty good microphones you guys upgraded, well done. Cole had a question about when was Hillsboro's original plan approved, and then I think there's been an addition on that. The 10-year was approved not so terribly long ago. I know we reviewed it not so terribly long ago. Do you happen to have that in front of you?
That's a good question. So
I
let
can
me
I can
look that up.
later
It'll
as
take
well.
me a couple minutes to find it. If you've moved on, I'll drop the answer in the chat.
I'll find it for you tomorrow. No, don't sweat it. My bad.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Then, if nothing else, thank you, Ricky, for coming.
Well, if you think of anything, let me know. I'm always available by phone or email.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight we have Mike Willits with MMUA Safety Training, so we'll turn over to Mike. Thanks for being here tonight.
Good evening, everybody. So, Casey, do you want me to show a PowerPoint or just answer questions, or what would you like?
You know, PowerPoint might not be a bad plan. I printed out the PowerPoint from your last email for everybody. I don't know if they reviewed it over the weekend or not, though, so.
Even if you hit the high points of what's on there, of what, I think we're wondering more about what you guys are offering and what we're getting and those types of things. Might have froze. Oh, it did.
Well, of course, then it's not working right, but all right, here we go. Can you see my screen now?
Nope, not yet. We're getting there. Uh-oh, what happened? think it kicked out Mike.
Maybe the internet.
Sorry about that.
There we go. Got you back.
Gonna try to get this thing to get the right one to come up. It's not coming up.
Okay. Yeah, even, like Levi said, even if
Okay,
you want to.
well, I'll, I understand why it's not working.
That's okay, they do have the PowerPoint printed out for them too, so, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll go through it. I have it printed out in front of me too, or can actually see it, I guess. All right, well, I'll just go through the PowerPoint that you have in front of you. I'm Mike Willis, Director of Training Safety for MMUA. Been with MMUA roughly 30 years. I actually was able to be the one that created this program for city government. That's where I came from. I've been in the citywide business utilities for 45 years. So I try to get the program to fit what a city government needs, and from very small to larger. As you can see in the PowerPoint, we've been around, MMUA's been around since 1931. We're a state association, represents, we're put together by of course, the public utilities in the state of Minnesota. At this point, we actually work with utilities out in Wisconsin, South Dakota, and also North Dakota. So there's roughly 700 cities, similar to yourselves, that we work with throughout the state. I'm going to go to the next, just a little safety overview of what we are. The safety management program, which I'm talking about tonight. We also have a unique partnership with the League of Minnesota Cities, and where we help them with their safety program. So we actually work with about 800 cities through our regular membership and the League of Minnesota Cities for communities that don't have a utility of some general city operations. We have a technical training facility down in Marshall, Minnesota, where we train technically line workers, gas workers, wastewater, water. We have a really nice area for confined space training and excavation and so on. And I don't know, about 1,000 workers a year we go through with that. I'm actually on the slide where the guy is pointing at the safety management board there. The core of the program is to plan, develop, and conduct monthly safety trainings with your staff, implement a standard record-keeping system. The record-keeping system, what makes it unique is the records that we would have in your community would look just like the records that we have anywhere else. So no matter what employee, myself or any of our staff that come into your facility, they all look the same, so it's consistent. And it's consistent with electronic filing and hard copy filing, which we keep on site there. Perform facility and worksite audits, that's a big part of it. Typically people think of a safety program as safety training, and we just come in and do, a training. What our design is we come in, we work all day with you, not necessarily taking all your time, but we do safety training by department if we need to, or everybody at one time. The rest of the day could be spent getting your records up to where they need to be. It could be out working with the guys, just doing on-site audits, helping with the safety culture. And that's a big thing that we're trying to do, is develop that positive safety culture, so we're always doing the correct the correct thing. And taking safety to a higher level. You know, it's, so many times, safety programs end up, you know, everybody's busy, so, you know, unless it's raining, we don't have time for safety training or whatever. We're that partner that works with you, that I always say we're kind of the friendly kick in the rear end, that, you know, we make it happen no matter what it is, and it's worked out pretty well, I can tell you that. The next slide there, let's work together to save the hassles, confusion, and time of just getting it done. You know, we are the experts. I have 25 safety staff. One person would be dedicated to yourself, so you wouldn't have a different person every month. There would be one person mostly working with you. That way, we become part of you. That's the big thing that we pride ourselves on. That's how we measure ourselves, is when you feel that we're part of your community, that's when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and getting to there. Of course, saving time and money, and of course, the number one thing is to save lives. You know, another measure is, you know, and I hear this all the time, you know, I was gonna do something, I was working with my chainsaw in the backyard at home even, and I was gonna do this, but I was thinking about you guys, and I knew you wouldn't like us doing it, so we did it the right way. You know, what got the chaps or whatever, so, you know, we work with you to get to that point. The next slide there, working together makes it affordable. In the beginning of the program, you would join a group, and the group would be part of the salary and vacations and everything. That group had its own budget. Now it's gotten to the point where that doesn't work much anymore. So, but it is the person that is working there, the salary, benefits, vacations, everything's built into the partnership that we work together, and it's that partnership, like I was getting to. Regional safety groups, we still would be part of a group. That group that you would be in would be the other communities within North Dakota that we work with, and Halstead across the river there, and a handful of other communities. Dennis Danielson is the person that covers that area. Dennis is out of Bagley. Dennis is a natural gas professional, but also when he was in Bagley, he did everything for Bagley, from water, wastewater, whatever. So we've got a really good, experienced group. Our safety personnel is thinking safety all the time. That's all we do, is do that and help communities like yourself, thinking about safety to prevent those accidents. You have access to all of us, you know, so if there's a need, such as an accident or maybe an expertise that I have, I could come there and work with you, or any of our other staff of 25 can come and help you work with whatever that is. We have firefighters, we have wastewater professionals, we have pretty much everything that the city has that you may have to deal with on the safety realm. I went to the next slide with a little bit of graph there. You know, why regional safety group? No more play with the day safety. Safety tends to be that. You know, it's important when something happens, or OSHA or whatever, you have an accident. We make it important every day for you, and we keep it at a high level. Basically improving your safety culture before that accident, like I mentioned, and taking that safety to a higher level and just maintaining that. And at any time, if you have any questions, please ask. Who can participate in the safety program? I'm with the next slide there. Basically, how I always present it is from airports to Zambonis. I mean, literally, we take care of every department there is, zoos and everything in between, electric, gas, public works, water, wastewater, fire. You know, you, like most of Minnesota, you have a volunteer fire department. you know, how they fit in. You know, we can do a few, you know, evening meetings for them to come in, work with the volunteer fire department while we're in town that evening. And, you know, typically we'll do that once or twice a year. I know those guys are hard to get a hold of, and so we work with those folks that way. So, first steps of getting into the program, choosing the appropriate tier. We've, a year or two ago, we put our safety program in tiers, which is more for pricing. I've got you guys in tier 2 on, you're around between 1,000 and 3,000, right? You go like 1,600 population in that neighborhood. So you'd be a category of what we call small 2, and I would recommend tier 2 in that area, so we can talk about what that means in a moment. The regional safety coordinator would assess your records. We come in, and typically I would be doing this talk in person, and I would have went through the records and stuff that day and just see if you've had any citations, whatever, accidents, or anything you've got going on. Have you had any accidents or anything like that going on, Casey?
None that I've been made aware of, so.
Yeah, that's pretty common. It's pretty common. We'll look at any OSHA inspections you may have. You audit the written programs. I'm not sure what you have for written programs as far as confined space and all those different things that you need. But we would look at those things, see what you have, and see how we can improve what you have. We provide, when we get there, we provide required general safety training for all your employees. You know, we don't concentrate just on the work that you do. We also try to keep people safe at home. That's where a good part of the accidents happen. So we try to keep that going for you. Perform facility and job site audits. Like I said, we'll go out and do an audit. We'll put together a good written report showing you the findings. We're not a safety cop. You know, if something were to come up, we wouldn't make people feel like they, done something terrible. If something was dangerous, we would pull them out of the hole or the situation or whatever it would be. But we're not going to we're partners. We're working with you to help you do things the right way. Regular monitor safety training requirements and report those needs to management. We would also work with the UKC in the office and so on ergonomic things, office design and protecting staff from people coming in and so on. Prepare and oversee required state and federal reports. Those are, we'll get involved as much or as little as you'd like us to on that. North Dakota and South Dakota actually they have safety grant opportunities too, so we can help you get those type of things. They're matching grants that we can help you with. Other services provide common interpretation of laws, rules, regulations. That's what we do. We stay on top of that, so you're not missing anything. We have a new heat standard coming up here soon. We'll be working on that. That's going to take a written manual also, so that's something we have not put together yet, but we'll be doing that. Work with you on your safety meetings, document all those safety meetings, work with the safety committee. I don't know if you have a safety committee right now, but we would put one together, and we work together to do that, and have some sort of structure for that works for you. Your responsibilities would be to provide an office support, basically, to make copies, memos. We're not looking for somebody, to support us only, basically just like we're just another person working within the community. Schedule employee participation, you know, when we have a calendar that, if we do work something out, you have a yearly calendar, you know when we're gonna be there, you know what we're gonna be doing, and as far as, the topic of presentations and so on. Provide a workspace on site. You know, a lot of times we work right there in the council chambers, you know, when nothing's going on there. Most of our time is spent out with the staff. Also provide some file space for us so we can, you know, create your safety record keeping and things like that. Kind of the next slide there, what the tier system offers. You know, the WARE program. The WARE program is a Minnesota lingo. In North Dakota, it's called a safety health program, which is exactly the same as Minnesota, calls it different. And every one of these things here that you see on the AWARE, bloodborne, confined space, employee right to know, excavation, and so on, those are all written programs that you need that we would bring in and help you with. And then, of course, on top of that, you need training and so on. So many of those are annual training. Group employee training, in person or virtual, you know, kind of like a lot of you guys, you weren't doing any of this until 2020. And, you know, it's become pretty common to start doing some virtual if we need to. We prefer to be on site. You prefer us to be on site. It's just like this council meeting. I wish I was there in person for sure. CPR, ADA training, that's an annual thing we take care of for you. You know, and we can do that for your fire department also. You know, all your staff. Like I mentioned, an annual safety training calendar, standard safety program filing, like I've mentioned, facility worksite audits, all those things come along. That's what that day comes, you know, when you're talking about doing safety for a day, they're going, what are you going to do for a day in our community, you know? And it's, you'd be amazed of the things that we get done. And it's not taking a day of your time. I don't want to think that you're going to spend a day with us, but you're going to spend some time. You know, we'll probably do an hour training, something like that. And the rest of the training, we would be looking at your facilities, either doing facility audits or employee audits, or any other task that you would like us to do with that. So you would help us come up with the goals that you would like to accomplish. OSHA inspections, accident investigations, grant development, all those things, like I mentioned, we help you with. You know, accident investigation and all those things is where we really shine, of course. We hope that never happens, but, you know, unfortunately, it does happen a few times a year. And if you have an accident, what you'll get is a team. You know, if it's a severe accident, there'll be at least 3 of us there helping you through that and helping you make all the right moves for the family and things that you want to do as a city for the employees. That's important, but under pressure, a lot of times you forget, and we're there to help you not do that and make sure everything goes as smoothly as for yourself and for the injured family and so on. Same thing with OSHA inspections. If there had one, you know, there in North Dakota, you're not going to get a drive-by inspections like we have in Minnesota, but you would, if there was a severe accident or something, that would be the case. And then I went through that crazy fast. I know that, and so I guess I would ask for any questions out there, and we can get to the cost too. I think I sent you at least last year's price, I believe, Casey, right?
Yep, you did.
Any questions, folks?
Any questions? Just go. So it'd be tier 2 and it's the 2-day, is that what you said?
We were quoted the 1 day per month.
Oh, 1 day,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I would, for a community your size, I think I would start with 1 day.
Okay.
So that price, actually, the new pricing came out the other day. The 1 day tier 2 is $15,453.
Okay. Any other questions for him?
And, one other thing I didn't bring up, we do have we have a new, video system that we have, it's called Dot Safety. So, the idea is, if we're gone, and you need to, onboard a new employee or something, you can do that through that Dot Safety, and then we can get there and do it in person, if you do. It'll be a good system, it's a good additional service.
Any
Okay.
other questions for Mike?
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Casey will be in touch, I'm sure.
Great, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Sorry about the technical issues.
That's okay. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so the next item that we have is the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody had a chance to look at them. If there's no changes, do I have a motion to approve?
The only thing I noticed was the, for like handbook updates to be in by October 17th. And so I apologize because I was reading an outdated manual, so I have the current one now. So I did not meet that deadline, but.
Nobody else did either. That's okay.
All right, then I don't feel so bad.
Okay, is there any other, I guess it's not a change, but
No, that was the only thing I saw.
if not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make the motion to approve.
Nicole makes the motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by John, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the presentation of the bills. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
I had a question on that Riverwalk corridor one. So that was, that 19.07% is, that was the part of the agreement last August.
Correct, so we had to pay their,
And
they paid the bill and then we pay them back for it. So,
then, okay, just want to make sure.
and that's the, it's just the sidewalks going up is what we paid for. Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Just a question on, it says Ewing and then fuel fire, is that, how is that different? I've never seen that on there before.
We pay for the fire department's fuel.
Okay, so.
Or it comes out of our budget.
I feel like it's fires all the time. I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Nicole, seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The financials, everybody should have received those. We just need a motion to approve that we have received and accept, or have received them. A motion for that.
I'll make a motion to receive the financial.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Jason. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is delinquent bill list. This is for shut off next Tuesday. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Jason makes the motion. Is there a second?
Is this the one, Casey, that you wanted to?
We'll talk about that maybe a little later.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect, I'll second.
Seconded by Nicole. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to commissioners' reports. We'll start with Jason tonight.
I have nothing.
John?
So, I emailed Gannon to take a look at the heater in the armory. He hadn't looked at that yet. He kind of had it set up with Bambi to take a look at that this week so that we can get that heat running in that classroom. Jay did have the company come in and fix the window in that southeast classroom. He's gonna have he said the employees fix up the sheetrock in there after, when he gets a chance here. Also, I think I kind of forgot to mention this, there's that old phone line in the lobby of the armory. Is there a requirement to have a hard line operational in the armory due to any safety protocols if somebody's staying there in an emergency situation?
I think that was the only reason it was ever in there was because of that, if we had the interstate shut down and we had motorists in there. But it gets broken a lot is the issue.
The phone itself doesn't work. I don't know if the line is still, I'm assuming it's still active.
The line is still active, I'm pretty sure.
I'll look. I'll put that on my to-do list. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it is.
See, then, Jay had the plow truck take a look at it, and there's, some of the, can't remember what he said exactly, but the front end on the lift or whatever, there's safety issues there that he had to fix right away, so. I think he talked to Casey and said there was room in the budget to get that part fixed. They did identify several other items that Jay said he and the guys will fix over the fall and winter here when they get a chance to. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that there's be a repair in that. And then, John Lowry is working with Greenworks to get me an estimate on doing rock versus mulch out in the river walk, green areas. So it sounds like they're working on the sprinklers and whatnot, make sure they were all operational and then get them all blown out so they don't freeze again as well. And then Jay mentioned that they are working on trying to get the streets, all the leaves cleaned up. So yeah, vehicles parked in the street might want to move them so they can make sure they get most of the leaves. And I believe, oh yeah, that should be it.
Okay. Thank you, John. Paul?
I don't have too much. One thing I would like to request is on planning and zoning, I'd like to see something on their building permits that requires what kind of electrical use they would need, what kind of service that they would need, if any. We have to, so we can kind of keep Rory informed on these building permits, what we might need, especially if we're getting into bigger projects. I know we're looking at doing something out west there. I think it's important that he knows what's needed out there for transformers and what they're doing. You kind of hear about 5 homes going up, but you don't know what, where, when, or anything. So, and when that time comes, it'd be nice to give him, because and part of that is because we're looking at 60 weeks to get transformers in some cases. So we need to let him know, and I think that would be the best way to do it is on the building permits. Unless somebody has a better suggestion, I think that's that's a good place to do it.
And that did come up at planning and zoning at the last meeting, because there were some other things they wanted to see.
Yeah,
So we're gonna look at,
Yeah, I heard that, so that'd be a good time to include in with that. On economic development, the lead local class was postponed. Don't have a date for sure that I know of, but they're talking about maybe January. But when I know more, we can let you know. If you've already registered for it, you're still good for the next one. So we'll keep everybody up to date on that. Beautification, we had a pretty long conversation about what we want to change for what Jason wants to see. So we're working on those changes and how we're going to do that. Levi might have more information on that. So, and that's all I really have. So.
thank you, Paul. Nicole?
There was a pipe installed, about a year ago, down by, 81, by the Goose River there. Just to let you know, in case it comes up as a question, there will be someone going out to smooth it out, but a resident was mowing it, and when they put it in, they didn't really put it back together. It's very slopey and bumpy, so they're gonna go and smooth that out, but just in case anyone asks, you know, what's going on down there, it was just a pipe, and then they're going to re-smooth it, because the resident would like to continue to mow it, so thank you to that resident who was doing that, don't have to. I met with Steve Swanson and Abby with Levi about some grants for potential stormwater. There's two different types. We're kind of in discussions about it, but it looks like we might potentially be able to apply for a mitigation grant, maybe for some of the swales that are having issues down by Loyal there, and then looking at some other things, but I will keep you updated on that. And then that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Planning and zoning, you should see it. They've approved this for you guys to approve. It would be for recreational vehicles. The gist of it is that nobody can be living in a camper within city limits unless it's designated as a RV park or campground. And if somebody does, they're allowed for up to 2 weeks. And they have to notify City Hall within 48 hours and come up with a license that'll go on so everybody can see when it is. And it's retroactive to whenever they started. And then anything longer than that would come to they'd have to come to the commission to ask for approval to live in campers. And the reason that they're asking for this is just, we've had some, planning and zoning have had some issues and complaints that have come up. And so they were trying to come up with a way to allow people that if they needed to remodel their home and their whatever is going to be out of place for a while, that they can still use a camper to do such thing, or if somebody's coming over to stay for a little while, but as long as there's a permit in place. Does that kind of give the gist of it, JR?
So with the permit in place, then the 48 hours does not exist then for that, correct?
Yeah, if you read paragraph 7,
Three.
it kind of speaks everything to the point.
Okay.
Yep, yeah. Emergency 48 hours, yeah, but the number
Okay.
7 is the permission, if you will.
Got it. Sentence number 3.
So we're gonna be relying on people reporting this, is that how?
Correct. And basically, if they don't report it, you know, it is up to $1,000 a day fine, which I am sure we'll say, hey, if somebody's living in there, please make sure to get in and get your permit. And then after that, we would have to look at something further.
What if it's less obvious? Like it's in somebody's backyard, but it's not noticeable from the street.
Along with anything, we can't police everything. We rely on residents to let us know when something is up.
Is there a fee associated with the permit or no?
It's a 0 fee.
Okay.
They didn't want that to be a hindrance upon it, so.
Sure.
I think there's gonna be some issue as far as trying to prove 2 weeks. If they've been living in it.
Well, that's where they said if it's 48 hours, they have to do it, and if they get their license, so maybe from the time they get found out about, it's 2 weeks, but they ultimately get 2 weeks, and if it's any longer than that, then that's when we're gonna deal with it.
Yeah, I just know from personal experience that we often run into complications trying to prove that time period with other things too. I don't know what the right answer is.
They thought this would work based on that. Now we know from this starting point that you've had your 2 weeks. Now you have to come to the commission to get extenuating circumstances, or otherwise it has to be moved.
Could be just like a drive-out permit, put an expiration date on it, make it visible for the public.
Because that same conversation came up in planning and zoning, and this was there. I think we sent it back to JR with that, the 2 weeks, to try to figure out how to make it work so that we can somewhat enforce that. And the other hindrance was, we had made sure we defined what living in a camper was too, so.
So hypothetically, what if they pulled, well, I was in there for a week or 13 days, I left for a day and now I'm back.
I'd refer to JR on that one, what we'd have to do.
I guarantee you that's what we're
Probably
gonna
would have
get.
to have another permit.
Just
Do
speaking from
they have a
experience.
permit?
What's that?
Do they have a permit?
Or they don't need one because they're only there for 3 weeks, or they're only there for 13 days.
Well, you need a permit the second you're using it, unless it was emergency or temporary use. So that's the first strike there. And if they say, yep, I left and I came back, it just says the permit's for 2 weeks, you have to get a new permit each time.
Yeah, like I said,
That, yep, I know, but.
I
I
think
can't
that
remember.
states
It's like
the
parking
point of the
tickets.
there's
expiration.
another community that we dealt with that in, and
I suppose we could add in one permit per year, 1 2-week permit per year.
Yeah.
And then you have to come to the commission for approval.
To extend beyond 2 weeks, yeah, because if
Extend
someone's
beyond 2 weeks.
renovating, it might take
That's
months.
the way we did. So really, right where
Yeah.
it says for up to 2 weeks per
Yep.
year, just assume those words are written, you could have a first reading still.
So just put add in 7, it'd be up to 2 weeks per year. And I don't think planning and zoning would have an issue with that, would you?
That's how I'll make it state that it's only a one-time permit, you're not gonna get 3 days here, 3 days there.
Right.
was number 3, was that the only part that's added? The rest is already there? Or was there other changes?
There
That's
was,
the one I circled too.
7 was the biggest
It's a
change.
7, yeah.
And then 1D was the one that
Yep.
was added, human habitation.
Gotcha. Like number 3, we've never really made a big deal on number 3 with 48 hours, because people bring their campers back for a week or whatever, but.
No, we've never enforced the parking in any way, shape, or form until winter comes, so.
Yeah.
But it's in there basically so that it's in the same,
Right.
it's the exact same in another spot in our ordinances, so yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
I don't like it. I don't like it because I think a lot of people park their campers, and they don't live in them. And the reason this was brought up was for people living in campers. That's the problem we had.
So, before you go too far, Paul, are you thinking this permit is for anybody that parks a camper in town?
Well, it says here it's unlawful for something about 48 hours.
But it's only unlawful if you're living in it for 48
Or
hours.
number two says occupied or unoccupied.
I think that's where it gets kind of in the mud. because of the
Where it was
40
meant
hours
was,
thing.
This is only for habitating.
it's only for habitated, it's not for any camper. It's just for habitated is what it was
Number
meant.
3 doesn't say anything about, unless I'm missing it, it doesn't say anything about it.
That may be the intent of it, but when I read it, that's not the intent I get. The intent I get is that if I park my camper for 48 hours by my house, I need a permit.
I want to say that's, but even before we pass this, I think that's what our ordinance actually says right now.
Yeah, the
Is
ordinance
you can't
does
park
say
any
that.
vehicle on any street,
Yeah.
alley, or public right of way more than 48 hours. Or you're liable for it's a parking ticket. As of right now. Because we passed that last year, I think.
I
during
thought that
the
was,
snow.
I thought that was
Yeah.
for snow, but.
That's
no,
pretty
that's-
much all that we've,
That was
like
just-
Levi said, that's pretty much the only time we've enforced it.
Depends how it's enforced, but I'll find out quick, but I'm 90% sure that's what our ordinance says right now.
I remember
For any
that.
vehicle of any
Yeah,
type,
'cause
whether it be car.
Didn't we talk about it like
Yeah,
last,
cause they're like, you
Yeah.
during
can
summer or something like
drive
that?
it forward or backwards and.
Usually it comes up this time of year and still have campers on the street and start snowing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that park on the streets during the summer and going back and forth.
Yeah, just in the summer, yeah.
It falls in.
I don't know, do you see them around a lot?
Oh, yeah,
Like
they're
parked
around.
constantly,
There's some, yeah.
is there?
So I don't know,
Well,
Food for thought, what, something my hometown does, actually, they only enforce parking during the winter months. I forget when it actually
all the
starts.
48
It's
hours
like-
so they can clean snow.
If we wanted to tweak it to something like that, because I agree with Paul, you know, I don't see what the issue is with people having campers outside of their house during the summer, as long as they're not living in them. That's kind of what you're saying too, Paul, right?
Right, yeah.
And just be parking on the street in the winter though,
Yeah.
because some people park them in their backyards.
Exactly. Yeah, but it would just be street.
I don't think we have too much problem with campers being parked in the winter time.
Mm-mm.
No,
Yeah, just to verify, it is currently, that 48 hours is in our current ordinances.
That's what I thought.
So that's just a repeat of what we already have.
So maybe we need to update that ordinance
True, yep.
to reflect winter months only or something.
if that's what you wanna do, we can put it in this one and then work on changing the other one at the same
Right.
time.
I mean, if that's our main goal, I don't see why not. You know, to kind of come up with a time frame or,
I guess I'd have to know the consequences of taking that out. You know, if it was put in there for some reason, I'm assuming JR, so you took it out, what kind of problems could arise then?
It's just matching on the ordinance. I'll have to give it a thought, but I think it would be okay. I will know, this ordinance originally was written that they just can't be lived in no matter what, or even parked on city streets. That's a lot of what cities do, is they don't allow parked on city streets if you don't have a private spot to put them. And so it was modified.
So does that mean that we should,
I think we just need to clarify, you know, that they're being occupied is the biggest thing, you know. If they're living in them or something like that, I
So
don't
to
know.
maybe add some of the words like,
well, let's see, if you're looking at number 2 and you see, and that's maybe you guys get, any person or entity occupied or unoccupied within city except as provided in this section. So that means that you can't park unless it's provided for in this section.
Don't you think on number 2, we need to take out unoccupied?
But it's saying, if you read it farther, within the city except for provided. So if you go down to number 5, it says recreational vehicles may be parked upon private premises if vacant and not used for human habitation.
Yeah, I think we're sort of in the question here is if it's unoccupied, is it allowed to be parked on the street for longer?
Yeah.
I think that would be what we just
Right.
modify this ordinance to put in here. If it's not winter months, yes, they can be parked there whenever you say. And then I can just change that accordingly.
There's quite a few.
And even if you extended the hours, you know, to a week or something like that, because
Right.
that way if they're using it to go camping every weekend or whatever, then it is
Right.
moved and,
Yep.
you know, that would kind of keep it from somebody just parking it there and just leaving it parked there all summer
like all
long.
summer, yeah.
It'd be, you know, that would be more, I'd say, if you're gonna do that, then park it in your yard, not on the street type of thing. So,
Right.
I I'd even possibly 2 weeks, 'cause not
Yeah.
necessarily every
Just
week, but,
to get some limit on it, otherwise it could, you could end up with that potentially.
yeah.
And you might have what Jason said, you might have somebody move it and come back, well, I guess you can deal with that then.
But wouldn't you have to, if it's, in order to prove that it's there longer than 48 hours, you'd have to put the sticker on it, and then it's 48 hours from the notification of the sticker.
Yeah.
So if we changed it to 2 weeks, it'd be, you put the sticker on, now you gotta wait 2 weeks before we can do anything.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody that puts their camper on the street for more than 2 weeks, maybe there's people that do, but
There's
without
3
moving
on my
them.
street alone.
Yeah, but do they move them? Near
I
those or
mean,
something?
every once a month, maybe.
Oh, okay. Maybe you gotta go a month, I don't know. So,
Are they removed for winter?
what's that?
For winter,
You're
yeah,
looking for the winter?
but through the summer, they go till lake maybe once a month or something like that. You probably know which one you're talking about. Fifth Street.
There's several. I don't know how much they do, I don't watch them that close, but.
And like I said, I think the main primary thing this was brought up for at the beginning was for people living in it, so that's what we need to address more than anything. So, and you've done that, the way it looks.
Yeah,
We've done that, yep.
Yeah, so,
What I would suggest is, even if you want to do a first reading, because this won't be effective until we have a second reading and it's published, I would suggest reading it as is. I'll make some changes, perhaps planning and zoning can still see it, and then we'll have even further discussion come next time. But at least we get step one done of the 3-part process.
so you just wanna approve this first reading, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Yep, because we'll have to have a second motion for the second reading, we'll have it good by then.
That would be
And then we have to publish it after we had that second.
And we have to publish it anyway, so.
Okay.
Which hopefully by that time, nobody's living in a camper either, because it'd be a little bit chilly.
Why would we make a motion on it though? If
Just to say
there would be changes.
So so they're gonna still be able to live in them if they're on their property?
As long as they come in and grab a permit that allows it, and if it's longer than 2 weeks,
Correct.
they would have to
So
come
so they have to get a permit when it's on their property to live in them? Okay.
to live in. Or on the street, wherever, they're gonna park it. And then if it's longer than 2 weeks, then it has to come before the city commission for a longer stay.
When will you send out that change? Before the meeting?
Next meeting.
Just so you have time to
Next time, I work on it now.
peruse it a little more than. I'll make a motion to approve the first reading.
We have a motion to have a first reading of ordinance number, Title 9 of,
I think it should be 535.
that's what I was thinking, 535. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Is there any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. All right. Planning and zoning also brought up some concerns and issues with Anchor, so I'm meeting with their management here within the month, I hope, as soon as we can finalize a date to go over that and make sure that we can see if there's a plan moving forward. And so planning and zoning can see some movement on that as well. We had a meeting with Jim Murphy and Matt Construction and a couple other individuals, and the finalization they should be putting in for a 24-plex coming in the next, hopefully to break ground this fall if everything goes as planned. So a 24-plex apartment complex. Which they would be also doing the same thing, as you'll see later tonight on that MAC construction for tax incentive, public hearing, they'd be looking for that as well on that 24 plex.
Would that be going in the same spot that the others got rezoned for, or is it gonna be?
They haven't just figured that out yet. They're trying to work out on the one that's on the ends,
Lot 2 of 2,
2 of 2.
lot 2 of block 2. So it's already zoned that way, as far as I know, Jason.
Is that the one that was originally?
Yeah, it's directly across from that new build of the Heritage Insurance building that's going on, so they're right across to the west.
And this is separate from the Jordan complex build, so, or their proposed one that they were looking at. And then you can take, I forgot to mention this earlier, the new business, section B, that can come off. We realized after she had submitted it that we have to annex it in first, if they want to do that, and it sounded like they wanted to, so we'll start work on that. 10B.
10B, okay.
10B, yep. Okay. That's all I have. JR, do you have anything tonight?
Nothing for me.
Casey?
Yep, I've got 5 things. First thing is, Hillsboro is hosting the MRES regional meeting on Thursday this week. It'll be right here in this building. If anybody would like to attend, I think breakfast starts at 8:30, and they'll just go over, kind of how they as an organization have done over the last year, kind of an annual report. So, it's a good time. They'll, provide breakfast and then provide lunch too. So, it starts at 9, breakfast at 8:30, and then done about 11:30 or noon. So we're doing that. We'll also be having other cities come here for it. So Valley City and Northwood and whoever else feels like coming. With MRES, Abby and Sarah completed the lead course last week. So that's pretty exciting. Audit 2023 is almost finished. We have a couple of very minor things to get to the auditors. Just a couple budget variance type things and a couple explanations, and that's it. Lead and copper letters will be finished this week. With Abby and Sarah gone last week, we didn't quite get all of those stuffed and sent out, so that'll be getting done. And then the League of Cities is holding a biennial legislative workshop. It's coming up on December 4th, so if anybody, it's a Wednesday, if anybody would like to attend, let me know and I can send you the link if you don't have it. So
Where's that at?
that's in Bismarck. Yep, and typically it's really good. It'll go through all the legislative changes that will affect cities or, that are coming up. And then it will have Burgum give his budget, his budget report and all that. It's typically very good. And that's all that I have right now.
That was all 5?
I think so.
Counted 4.
MRES, Sarah and Abby, Audit 2023, Lead and Copper, League of Cities, Biennial Workshop.
That was a quick 5.
Missed the audit.
What day was the MRES again?
That's on Thursday this week. Yep,
Sorry, wrong one.
yep. But, and the more the merrier. Totally welcome anybody who's interested to learn. Paul will be there, I'll be there. We signed up quite a few of the public works guys. And then I don't know who else coming from Valley City, but when I went to it last year, it was in Valley City, and there were quite a few of their employees that went. So, it sounds like us in Valley City are typically the ones that represent the most at these meetings. So hopefully we'll get Cavalier to come down and.
Cavalier, Lakota is part too.
There you go. Yep. Yep.
Well, it's interesting, so. Did you have any more luck on the remaining load controls?
Thank you, I forgot about that. We do have a full schedule on Friday. There's only one slot left, so that's nice. The Armory is gonna take up about 4 hours of Tanner's time. I'm not sure on the number left of individuals that need their load controls, but I think we had 6 or 7 scheduled on Thursday last week, and then the schedule goes from 6 in the morning until 5 at night. 4 of those hours are taken for the Armory, so the rest of those slots have been filled up for Friday, and after that, it kind of is what it is. We'll place the $50 fees on utility bills for those who didn't respond to our letters and go from there, so,
Sounds good.
yep.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Made you talk longer than you needed.
They kept me going.
Good.
Yep.
Jason, anything from the sheriff's office?
Nope, I saw your email, I'll do some follow-up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Nothing from Steve tonight. PC, we didn't have any changes. We mostly talked about, changes in on the procedure of it. And then I did forget to mention that, so I believe all the trees have been taken out, or almost all of them. Maybe 1 or 2 got missed. All the locates are getting put in as we speak, and then they'll come and do the stump grinding. And then the trees should go in after the stump grinding and the locates are done, so that we can Roy's gonna dig the holes for us, so we don't have to dig them all by hand. So there's about, what do we say, 47?
Yep.
47 trees that are getting planted, so.
Did you get around to everybody and find out where they wanted them, or?
I knocked on doors and placed the flags as best I could and left the agreements. Some of them called, some of them, I tried to figure out the best places unless.
I did have one come in and I told her to get a hold of you, because she was wondering what the white flag was.
Yep.
So she was wondering what that was for. So if you got a white flag in your yard, that's where the tree may go.
Well, there's two, well, if it's at a stump, that's getting stump ground,
Yep.
and if it's a white flag just placed there, that's where the tree could go.
Okay.
Unless they move it, so.
Right. Okay. So that's.
But that was the request for,
So now
the
what-
locates.
So they would have to move them sooner than, before they locate them, I would assume, or how are we gonna coordinate that?
Yep, I think locates went in, so you have until, just, anybody that I told, or that I'd seen, I said you need to place them that day, because this week they're gonna start doing the locates, so.
Is there a minimum distance away from the located lines that those trees have to be planted? Or can be planted?
Just not over the line, as far as I know.
I just didn't know if the roots would interfere with them later, or that was an issue.
I wouldn't, they didn't seem very concerned when they dug some of those lines that are, you look at it, it's right underneath the trees, so.
My question is, with it getting to be late in the year, and we gotta get those roots in the ground and get them, situated, how long, we're gonna put the bags around the trees, how long before those root balls take off, and, because I don't wanna see a dead tree out there, because it's being put in so late, you know what I'm saying?
So all seasons, last year when we put this tree in, they actually told us now is the best time.
Yeah, you do have that variable, Jerry, if it freezes or gets really cold in the next week, we could have a problem, but, we gotta get.
We are approaching the first of
Russ,
November,
we
that's
have
all I'm
to,
saying.
yeah, we have to move on this sooner,
Right,
fast as we can, so.
Yep.
right, I understand that.
So part of the timetable came back with our tree service getting the ones out that needed to come out, because some of them are going in the same areas, so.
Right. They had equipment problems, that's why they were put behind the tree service, so that's why they got put behind, because they had problems with their equipment. So they couldn't get here, and it's kind of that snowball effect, so.
I know there's a lot of moving pieces, so.
There is. But the one over here turned out pretty well, and We'll get Paul in the watering, he does really well at that.
I water them good.
That's it.
Next item is the Army rental damage deposit. Did we get any more info?
Not yet. No, I did send an email this morning, so hopefully we'll get some info.
Okay.
So we don't have a big event until February, so.
So we can hold off on that
Mhm.
until, okay. Waste management contract, I just need approval to sign that. I just need a motion. We have approved it, it's just approving
Make
it.
the motion to approve.
Nicole makes the motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Paul, any other discussion? Jason,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and a yes for me, motion carries. Since nobody turned anything in yet on policy manuals, should we hold off till the next meeting?
Yeah, but we gotta get it done.
We do, and this is the final,
This is the third time that we've been waiting, so,
Yeah, I got through.
you know, you guys,
so the last one would be on the 31st, that's that Thursday, end of day on the 31st.
Sure, that'd be great.
Or if you're working in the middle of the night, you can turn it in before beginning of the day on the 1st.
That works too.
Usually get to work at 7:30, so make sure you get it in before then.
7 or 7:30, depends on how energetic I am.
Okay. The right implement concrete discussion, John, I think you had that.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I talked to Tim Wright on that, and he, with the Winkleman being busy through the fall here, he wanted to kind of try to get on the docket for next spring, so I was just wondering, mostly just getting it on the old business to address it in March. I put a note in my calendar to, on the 17th of February, to talk to Tim and try to get an updated proposal, because that concrete stuff price might go up and
Right.
maybe go down, hardly ever goes down anymore, but.
Okay.
So just wanted to put that out there, so if we can get it addressed right away in the spring, so we can get that work set up early in the spring, get it done next year.
Okay. So, I'm sure both of you get it on there, and I'll try to put it on my calendar too, to remind as well. Next thing we'll do is we'll open the max construction property tax incentive public hearing. 7:52, and if there's anybody here that would like to talk on that.
Can I ask?
I'd answer any questions if anybody has any, but I know Levi and JR were in this discussion earlier, just kind of went through the 5 years would be perfect if
Yep.
it works.
So the reason that it was put out the way it was is that they're hoping to sell them, and if they sold before they're finalized and built, they would ultimately come under the residential tax credit. But they needed this approval just in case something doesn't sell, then they want to turn it into a rental so that they're not losing money on those.
So these are houses, right?
These are homes, yep.
And the intent is to rent them first?
No.
Or to sell them?
They will sell.
Only if
will sell.
they will sell.
I was just curious if they were renters, that's all.
They're
I was
pricing.
hoping you were gonna say sold.
Yeah, they're gonna be priced correctly for, what is considered starter home price, which is roughly $340,000. There's an incentive that the state has offered that can help backstop some of that, through Indy Housing with this HIF, Housing Incentive Fund, that HEDC, Hillsboro EDC, we help coordinate it, but it's really Hillsboro EDC's program, if you will. They're more or less the developer on this, and if this city can't sell 5 starter homes within 2 years, we need to do something different. These wouldn't last a week in Fargo.
I believe that.
Do they know if there's any interest yet, or is anybody?
Oh, we haven't broke ground yet. We gotta get this piece in place before the next piece can get moving, so.
And the county did, so what they had asked for was the same as what we did over on Jordal's, which was 5-year pilot, or 5-year tax
Jordan was actually pilot as well.
pilot.
But to explain it, because it's a little legally confusing, originally MAC was asking for 10 years as pilots, which would just be $1 per year, so in essence, it's exempt. The county has denied their application, and the school has approved it, so we're sitting with our decision here. Just because we have the power, we can approve just the 5 years, and thus school, city, and county would be exempt for 5 years. If we do anything over 5 years, the county's decision takes effect, and they would lose out on the county exemption. So that's why they're basically lowering the request to 5 years now, because of the project actually can proceed, at least as I've been told. I also, just one quick disclaimer, I am on HEDC as a board of directors, so yes, you make that aware if you didn't know it. But that's what they're asking for, is the 5 years. They're being built. Yes, if they sell them, if they don't, though, it's gonna be a rental. So, and if they're built, this pilot automatically is removed because it does not apply to a new owner. So we're kind of safeguarded in all ways of how this works.
Okay, that was gonna be my question. So if they aren't getting sold, they're under that pilot, but if they get sold, it's now moved over to the new homeowner for the tax.
Yep, automatically removed, goes to the new owner. Pilot is automatically removed because it only works for the original applicant, which is MAC.
Which do we need to do, because in Jordan we had that same agreement written up, do we need to do that agreement with them again, or not? That's
have to with this, because my understanding is they're gonna break ground with all 5 and proceed with all phases.
Okay, great, because that one was
got a little muddied with some infrastructure, is the way I'll phrase it, but
right.
hey, we already got it in the ground, that's all there. We just
Right.
put it up, here's your exemption.
City's positioned correctly to make this work.
Right.
And is there other incentives too, other than the North Dakota side of things?
That's a state thing, that's kind of an interesting,
But is there,
unique pilot program that they were also implementing. So this is more or less a revolving loan fund. If they don't use it, it doesn't get accessed. So, I mean, Nicole, conceivably, that money never gets touched on any of this. It just, these get sold during construction, and none of this all becomes academic. So.
On this paperwork then, what exactly, because they have property tax exemption check for 10 years on this.
They do, yes, that's
So
a
what-
implication, but as I said, if we approve anything over 5 years, 6 years if we did, the county's vote takes effect. Versus the way I read the statute, well, if we do anything 5 or less, that's fully in our power to exempt the full taxes then, just as we do with Jordan.
So it's a tax exemption or a payment in lieu of taxes then?
It's a payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay, but it's not
So forgive the words, it's a payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
And that looks like it's the wrong application, unless it's the unfilled one, because I know we fixed it, I know the pilot's checked. Yeah.
and I pulled up. a
Okay,
link.
I think I grabbed the last one that I could
Yeah,
find.
but there was, I think, 3 renditions, so
Okay.
Right, there was a couple different ones.
So you're saying this is not the right one?
that is not the right one. Yes, the box is checked wrong, because I know it, I can send you the right one, but it is a payment in lieu. They had asked for 10, but we can approve 5. Which is what the change in request actually was too.
Right.
Yeah, I was just asking about like incentives and stuff
Yep.
because I,
Yep.
you know, if you need help, like, hey, we got houses for sale.
Well, like I said, hopefully we can market these rapidly and get,
If they sell all 5 before they're built, do
I would
they-
love that. Let's
do they
do it again.
another
Let's
5?
reapply. We'll be here again in 2 months
That
and
would
do
be
this whole
lovely.
That would be our hope, is that they can just keep
Yeah.
using that money and keep going. And that's part of why this route was done, was to give them that stopgap or that way of, okay, if this doesn't work, we're not sitting with capital.
I guess if you think about skin in the game, they're coming up here and putting, at price, 1.75 million in the ground. It ain't going nowhere. You can't put it on a truck and take it somewhere else. It'll be here. It'll eventually someone will buy that, whether that's within construction or within the first 2 years, Jason, and then they're paying taxes. And then you can fix your streets, and then you can clear your roads, and you can get your concrete fixed.
Now, come on, now quit enticing us with the.
Listen, I know the game. I'm gonna sell you, maybe.
And
The hope is that 5 other developers will see, wow, they did good. Maybe-
And that's the other thing
maybe we
too, a
should
little
come.
momentum, maybe some momentum.
And they're already, I mean, they're the ones that are pushing for this 24-plex complex as well. So they're seeing the value of it, and
Well, it
question?
might have.
Clarification, this is a separate project from the 24 plan.
Correct.
This is regarding like block 2 and then double lots for each starter home, or is it a single lot per?
Single lot, I think.
Just
No.
Don't hold my feet to the fire on
They're
that.
doubles, aren't they?
They come in and then, so they're,
north of the insurance.
the garage was, no, that's not, that's the 24 plex. They would be, or yeah, they'd be on the north side. And then, if I remember the plans right, they'd come off, there's one access for 4 homes.
I think that was the old plan. This is actually 4 duplex, or 4
Oh, is
split
it?
levels.
Oh, is it 4 split
Yeah.
levels?
One on each, 5 split
5,
levels.
okay.
I'm sorry, 5 split levels.
I didn't
Yeah,
see.
you're thinking of that other gig that we talked about, planning and zoning, but that's,
Yeah,
that was speculative. This one's concrete.
And they're putting these on what size lots, do you know?
Pardon me?
Do you know what lots they're putting them on yet, or they haven't decided?
It should be in the app, isn't it? I could run over and grab it.
Was there, it was in the email that was sent to us.
Yeah.
I had forwarded it on. I'm trying to find it.
Sorry I didn't bring it, but they're all 4 on that first block.
So they're just using 50-foot lots?
So block 2, lots 4 through 13, that sounds right there?
It could be, but
I think they had like 8 they're gonna choose from Lowry. And so that they're not all sitting right next to each other like cookie cutters.
Not that it matters, I'm just curious if they were using a 75-foot or how big they were.
Yeah, you know me well enough to know I don't have that. If I don't have a file in front of me, I'm not gonna remember that.
and they may be doing 2 lots.
I remember seeing that they did 2 lots, but.
Well, there was that where they're gonna do 4 lots like they did out on the end of Caledonia. Avontroth did.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that space like that. But then that was a thought that got floated at planning and zoning, but that one kind of went to bed in lieu of this. So it seems like a more.
I'd be I'd be surprised if some didn't kind of flow over from
These
the
kids
Jordan
planning
over
zoning?
to,
Not yet.
that's, from the
I
rent
would
to the
assume
house sale, because what they're paying for rent over there is gonna be house rent over there.
The bottom.
So for a T&T standpoint, do we need to push this on the Midwest, or is that already?
The bottom.
I'm sure they'll get it. Once this piece is here,
Okay.
Somewhere
when
in
they go ahead, then you'll probably see it next.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just pre-built coverage.
Gotta get this before they can say yes and start spending money.
Makes sense. Okay. Just curious.
No, I'm glad you have it, because I wanna make sure to get everything done in the right order.
Yeah.
And I would assume that we would see then the permits for planning and zoning once this is approved, if it is approved. So, any other comments from the public?
I have the street addresses, but.
If not, we'll close the public hearing on it.
There's no,
And then,
you know.
if anybody would like, on the commission wants to discuss anymore, or if you guys would like to make a motion to approve or not approve the property tax incentive.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion to approve for the 5-year, for the 5-year tax exemption. Is there a second?
Payment in lieu of taxes.
Payment in lieu of
I was just gonna say that,
Thanks, thank you, Paul. I guess the words do matter.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Paul, moved by Jason. Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. I'm sure Jim's texting right now, letting him know.
But I am. Want those trucks moving tomorrow.
Let's get that concrete in, boys.
All right.
Ground freezes.
Next item is the budget salary utility rate discussion. So I'll let Casey take the lead on that.
Yep, so Jason and I had a discussion about, salaries and, utility rates and kind of how, our budget works with both of those. If you guys saw the spreadsheet that I sent you, earlier on salaries, those new numbers were put in for this possible, amendment to your budget, just as an example. So on the initial, salary structure.
Quit laughing, guys. Have you look at this on that screen?
Yeah, I
Well, if anybody needs a visual, Paul can help you.
Paul can help you.
And it's even in big letters, so you could actually read it.
You kept opening.
Next time I want a board mounted with that up there, please.
Initially, when I put together salaries, I put it together with a $2 per hour increase per employee that wasn't on a probationary status. And then added in, all the educational incentives that I knew of at that time, plus any supervisory pay increases or change of position pay increases that I had known of at that time. Jay and Zach were the two supervisory role changes, and at the time that we were discussing it, when I put together that spreadsheet, it was $5 is what was kind of being discussed. After discussion amongst here and with Public Works, it was settled on $8 per hour increase. So that did change the numbers on a couple funds to be more than what I initially budgeted, but it was good to get that updated for this purpose. The difference for a couple of the funds, the general fund went down in order to keep the dollars kind of about the same. I took the difference of dollars, and you guys can reappropriate them if you want to, but just as a safe spot, I took the difference of dollars. It was about $2,627, and I put it into the reserve. You'll see the cash reserve on line C, if you look at the screen. It was $5,000 when we did the initial budget, increased it by $2,627. So that was the difference there. The only salaries and wages that come out of here would be a portion of mine, and then a portion of the auditor's staff. For the, here, let me find the streets, for the street fund, this one isn't affected by utility rates, but it does have salaries scheduled to come out of it this next year. It didn't, we don't take salaries out of it currently, but if you guys want to have it be more, have your budget be more applicable to the hours worked out of each fund, we decided to pull salaries out. Here, see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so for the auditor's staff, that went down a little bit, just because 2.5%, instead of a $2 raise is going to make it come down. However, the streets, or the public works portion did increase, and that was, like I said, kind of because of Jay and Zach. The next is the water.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. The next is the water fund, and I have to refresh myself on this one. Part of my wages did come down on that. Auditor staff, that came down as well. For the public works employees, with the exception of Zach, it stayed about the same. We initially budgeted $54,604, came down to $54,322. That's just for the public works employees. And then for Zach, I do keep him separate just because he works more on the water treatment plant side of things rather than strict, out of the general water fund. I'll try to get down to that page. But that went from $54,246 up to $58,718. Oh, we're getting close there. I maybe shouldn't have zoomed so much, but there we go. Okay. All right, there's Zach. So 54 up to 58. All right. The sewer fund. Salaries did increase on this one as well. We'll bring it down. There we go. So salaries originally budgeted at $85,000, went up to $87,000. And then the benefits kind of go along with it. Garbage fund, that doesn't have any, nope, it does have salaries coming out of it this year. We do have a few that have their landfill certifications and just help with general, waste duties, so. This is another fund that we don't take salaries out of as of right now. We're changing that up for next year. Originally, scheduled for 62,000, going up to 63,000. Not a whole lot different on that one. Then the electric fund. Okay, auditor salary went down, auditor staff went down. And then the, salaries themselves did go down in electric, because those stayed at the same rates, or the same, the same increases, with the exception of going from that $2 per hour increase down to 2.5% increase. So 238,662 was what we originally budgeted, goes down to 236,617.76. So taking all of that into consideration, plus all of the expenses that you guys had seen on the initial budget, I kind of wanted to explain how I calculate utility rates. Typically, the black and white way that I typically will do it is I'll look at how much you're spending, how much utility you spend in a year, and base your rates off of that. Just cover your expenses. Seeing what you guys are dealing with, here's kind of a screenshot of your 2024 year. At the beginning of 24, here are the balances of these individual funds that we just talked about, with the exception of the general fund that you started out with. You guys are expecting to receive in the next amounts in for revenue. So for the streets, 96,200, for water, 923,000, 134,000, 360, 2,803 for those. There's only one transfer scheduled for the street fund. It's 300,000. I'm not able to see where that's scheduled to come out of yet, but I'm sure we can find an area in the budget to get that transferred out of. So the total expected revenue is here. So good things. That's what we want to see. Your budgeted expenses, though, some of them are over what your expected revenues are. So you've got, 204,000 for streets is what we're expecting to spend this year. For water, 1,271,000. You can see that's going to be more than your revenue. 162,000. It's going to be more than your revenue for the water fund. 322,000 for garbage. That would be less than what we're looking at for garbage. So that one's doing okay. And then 2,716,767, less than your expected revenue for 2024. We do have some budgeted transfers out that we're looking at, and all of these, I'll have to refresh my memory on the sewer one, why that was a little bit more, but these transfers are going to go into the general fund. Those ones that have 15,750, they're going to pay for a loan for public works. That loan gets paid out of the general fund, and you guys replenish it through doing these transfers. Typically, you try to schedule another 5,000 to go into your equipment fund. Some of those had that scheduled, some didn't. So I just put in there what is scheduled on the official budget for 24. So total expenses are just below. So based on the formula that you have in your budget, these are your expected ending balances for 2024. This isn't saying that these are solidified. It just depends on what you guys bring in for revenue and what you spend. It just, it can vary. So yeah, and if you do the transfers as they're scheduled. So it's all variable. If we stick to the plan though, that's what you're looking at. So going forward into 25, you bring your expected balances down, and you do the same kind of math. Now, going back and forth between trying to figure out how much revenue we need to bring in to cover all of the expected expenses with your updated salaries and benefits, I've determined that the numbers in blue is the amount of revenue that we're gonna have to bring in. So for your water fund, in order to cover all your expenses, we're gonna have to bring in at least $982,000. If you stick to your expected expenses and bring in that amount of revenue, you should end the year and do the transfers presented, and I'll talk about those in a little bit here. If we do all these things, it's expected to have a balance at the end of 2025 of $575. So, and the same goes for the rest of these. You'll see the expected ending balances. That should say 2025 over there, not 2024, but you get what I'm saying. The scheduled transfers into these funds, we had one scheduled for the street fund in the amount of $200,000. That's coming in from sales tax. After reviewing where utility rates could be if we didn't do transfers and taking into account the difference of salaries and benefits, I have a line that is requesting additional transfers to be made in order to have your utility rates be a lot more approachable for your residents and just be a little bit, a little bit easier to handle, I guess. So for your street fund, we're gonna look at doing a transfer somewhere. That's gonna be $7,800. For the water fund, this is just to break it even and start your 25-year out fresh. That could be up to $387,152 based on the formula. That could change based on how much we spend between now and the end of the year. And then for sewer, we're looking at a transfer of $58,985. So, any questions on that sheet? Any questions on kind of the formula, anything?
I have a general question, because I'm maybe not understanding this, but
Sure.
with a budget of the salaries for a year is a 6% increase, and then on here it's a 2.5% COLA, and then you add in the certifications. So over the course of a year, I'm calculating like 20 up to 26 to over 30% in wage increases on your staff. So I'm trying to figure out why the percentage increase, the COLA, and then on top of that certs. Like, it's a layering of multiple additional salary, which is pushing us. I looked at the bottom line and we were running at a $400,000 insufficiency. And so I can't wrap my head around how the multiple layers, and then you're adding, we're having to force increases somewhere else, it feels like, in order to make up for our losses. And it's not just that area, but I'm just in general.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if this is new to me.
Yep. I'll try my best to kind of explain it. I'm going to try to pull it up so we don't have to go over to Paul real quick. But all of the educational incentives and all of the changing, like the going from Public Works up to a supervisory role in Public Works.
That I can see.
Yeah, yep. So those were all accounted for within this year, and we accounted for that with the employees' hourly wages going into 2025. And the amount with all of the educational incentives and the supervisory, we took that times 2.5% to start the 2025 year off with. We do not have a schedule of what our employees would like to do as far as educational incentives, because that's just been such a hot topic here. Do you guys want to keep them? Do you want to get rid of them? Do you want to, ideally, according to your policy manual, they're only supposed to do 2 a year. That's kind of the big thing. I haven't gotten a map out, but I know quite a few of the employees in Public Works have, really appreciated and taken gotten their certifications done. So they have had quite a few, bumps in pay because of that. So if, you know, if you would like me to revisit this, and see what our employees are liking to do, you know, I can do that and work that into the number if you'd like. You know, it's pretty flexible between now and the end of the year. We just need to know by the end of the year what you guys would like for rates and employees, increases. So, does that kind of help answer?
Yeah, it does a little. I get the question, you know, outside of this is going up, that's going up, and there's no amenities, and where does this money pull from? Where does it go? Where does it, you know, so it's a hard thing for me to answer because I'm not used to that. My certifications are my certifications because that's my job, not for a pay increase or anything, you know, so it's really hard for me to wrap my head around that.
Yep.
Because my job pays for me to get those certifications too.
That's the reason why I'm pro getting rid of the extra pay for all the training, because there's no way for us to manage our budget. Like you said, if it's 36% it went up this next year is what it's slated for, so it's.
Well, it just depends on who's got the certifications, but if you go through it, you know, it's 18.6%, 21%, and that's a pretty big increase when you're used to, even in your, you know, if you work in private and public sector, you still don't get that high of an increase. That just, it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
And the same thing, I still say too, if we don't get rid of it, there's nothing that's gonna prevent another incident that we just had, where a possible employee could be making more than their supervisor.
Any other questions on that section?
How come you have, public works superintendent in here yet?
I kept that in there, so when I originally created that spreadsheet, it wasn't quite decided if you guys would still continue looking for a public works supervisor or not. So that line item can be taken out, if you guys want me to. I left it in there for a cushion and just to let you guys see what the numbers would be. So that's up to you guys on how you'd like to proceed with that one.
Well, and that's a question too. Well, you brought that up. If they're in their probationary area, right? So it could potentially be taken out if they take over that role to split. But my question is, just for general and staff, since the commission usually approves or declines like the applications and the hiring and stuff, has there ever been a time in the past where there has been an employee that hasn't worked out? And if so, who makes that decision before their probationary period or at the end of their probationary period? Does anyone know the answer to that one?
Not that I can recall since I've been here.
Not since I've been on either.
Me neither. The only time I've ever heard of that has been with a seasonal employee that they haven't wanted to invite back.
Which I would assume we would have to have due course as to why we're firing, and
They're in probationary phase, you can get rid of them for anything you want.
Well, and that's what the handbook says, and I mean, North Dakota is that type of law too, but I was just asked if is it the supervisor, is it auditor's office, is it the commissioners? And I was like, I don't know what the answer to that is, because I don't know if there was what that process has been, if there has been one. So
maybe that might be a good discussion for like an HR handbook.
in North Dakota, it says right to work, right to fire, but still you just, hey, you're not working out, you know?
So I guess my question might be then, how do you propose, or what do you propose on these increases for the classes for next year? What do you, because we've already got that kind of in place, so we can't really do nothing with that for next year, can we?
You're talking about myself and Jay?
Well, yeah, all these increases for education, these increases.
Yep, so those ones were, Yeah, so these are all from this year.
Right.
Yeah, yep, these are all from this year. So this is what we'll be making without COLA, and then here's the COLA to go with it, so here's the new hourly.
But what I'm saying is you guys want to get rid of those, you're saying. So what do you propose in place of them?
A more regular structured pay schedule. Like
I mean,
have.
technically, each position should have a position description of what it contains.
And that's what you guys are gonna have next meeting?
Position descriptions?
Yeah. And
Most likely not for that, no. It'll be updated in the handbook, but it should have really technically probably been position descriptions to begin with, and that would have avoided a lot of the hiring at this wage, that wage kind of thing, to this or to that cert. It would have been a smoother type of thing, because then you're hiring for a specific position description that says, this is your job, you understand what you're getting in here for. But I believe, if I recall correctly in the past, it just nobody wanted to really do any of these jobs, or they were available, and I don't know what the history is. I just know today, that's what should be in place, is really position descriptions and pay according to that position description. Because if you see, they're all siloed in their buckets with what they're learning, and that's where they want to be.
But then we could run into the issue of if you segregated that much. Because in the past, Jim basically held most of the certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to find a way to help alleviate. But, if we said we need one water treatment operator plus one to back up, well, are we paying everybody at that one wage, and then their only job is to do water treatment? And you're not doing streets, and you're not doing all this other stuff?
If you have something that you're 100% in and there's somebody else, somebody should know something about your job, but they're not doing it 100%. If somebody leaves that position, yes, they could be helping out in both pockets until one fills the position. I mean, that's normally how it works.
But in these positions, we need somebody that has a water treatment certification. We have to have somebody that has a alignment experience. We have to have somebody that has wastewater distribution. So all of those are needed. So how do you?
That's where I would sit down with our current supervisors and ask them what they feel each of these people should have for certifications, and that should be figured into their salary, like what certifications are required.
Couldn't we still do that and have those incentives based on commission approval? So the only way that anybody could go seek it out is if...
So for me to go get a certification, I can get a $5 an hour raise, plus I can get another cost of living in addition. Why are we doing cost of living then and stuff like that if they're getting raises for everything else that they do? I don't get that.
I agree. I don't think we need a cost of living increase if you almost actually have to have one or the other. Which do you want?
Right.
But the cost of living, we're not going to give you a $5 raise to going to a class and then give you a cost of living increase at the time. Now if our wages were where we're paying people $15-20 an hour, that's a whole different story. But they're getting paid. I think they're getting paid pretty fair. So
in the past, I don't believe that if they went up, they did not get the same raise as everybody else. So if they stayed the same, if they got a rate increase for insurance, if I remember right, then they didn't get the COLA, or they didn't get.
Didn't we try looking for that, Casey, and couldn't find it? Because I had thought that it was somewhere in the policy manual that was written when we were sitting down.
For insurance increase, or?
Oh, no, for just like, if they received an increase within a certain period or whatever, that they wouldn't get a COLA in addition.
We had looked for, we had done some searching. Maybe we didn't search for the right words, but we didn't.
I don't know
find
if it was
anything.
in the policy manual. I just don't remember that when we did that we said, okay, well, they're not going to get the increase that year because they already did this.
I think that the education side of it is because what I see you're gonna end up anyway, okay? So let's say, you talk about wanting to hire a person for, let's say, the water treatment plant. What's gonna be your base salary then for water treatment plant? That's what I'd have to know. What's gonna be your base salary for your lineman? What's gonna be your base for garbage? And the thing is, when these guys were all hired, they were hired just as public works people for a minimum wage. You know, so they would have, if we would have been hiring for waterworks and they had to get that training to do that, they'd probably still been at a similar wage.
But that's where you make that determination of, you get paid to enter, and then if you are driving you get hired for that certification, they're of course gonna have to work towards that certification, they complete it, and then that's where they get that bump. But, I mean, that's typically, if you look at position descriptions, they're never 100% this, you know? If you were to look at Casey's job during the day, she's probably 50-60% this, 30% this, 20% this, 10%, and of course the little duties is assigned, which is 8 pages long. And so, you know, you kind of break it down into those percentage factors, which is what creates that salary scope. But,
And that's why it's gonna take some time, but I would like to see us do a salary study where we compare those positions, what they are towards other type of positions like that, so we do come up with a good salary scale.
Yeah, that's what we've been asking the last 2 or 3 weeks, we want to see that.
But the salary thing is something that's gonna have to get approved by the commission, and it's gonna take some work from our office or whoever we decide to do it. I mean, the county did it, and it was $30,000 per firm, but I think a lot of it, especially our size, you could do just by doing some phone calls around and finding out what people are at.
The League of Cities does put together,
Yeah.
a pretty decent salary survey, so, yeah.
I mean, maybe we even have it, we have access to it, but it's gonna take some time, but I mean, I think we gotta stop this rewarding for certifications before it gets too far out of control. I mean, because ideally then there's one city work employee that is already making more than others, and he could go through 2 certifications this next year and bump his pay again.
Well, I think we could easily start by just saying that nobody, from going forward, that anything has to be approved by city commission until we get this in place. And that would put a stop to all this until we get a plan,
So unless they're currently working on,
unless they're currently working on it.
Right. Because I think we factored in anybody that was currently working on things, right?
For next year, I did not, so, I mean, the ones that
I thought when we sat down, we did.
we maybe talked about that. I know I did not factor it in on these numbers though. Cause yeah, I didn't factor in, if that's the case, I didn't factor in, minor J's, you know, possible MRES increase. And I know quite a few of the guys, I think Bill's the only one that's kind of mentioned that he has some plans to do a water treatment next year.
Yep.
I don't know that anybody else has really mentioned it though. So,
what Jay's finishing up
his water treatment?
or water, I think he was supposed to do that now, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we got somebody doing the waste part too, and for the garbage too. I think somebody's working on that. I'm not sure if that's Bill or.
Yep, Bill just passed that last week. So, yep, that's his first one he's ever done, so. Do you want me to rerun numbers with what people are working on currently and bring this back to you guys?
And then take out public works superintendent,
Okay.
I
We
think.
do have to figure something, we've never really limited that. I know that we have $50 an hour for we never really defined how that was gonna work for Jim. Have we got hours from him, or how much are they calling him, or do you know anything about that?
He does submit, he gets to know when the deadline is to get the timesheet in. I think he submitted 30 hours last pay period. I'll have to double check, but he still submits a timesheet just like everybody else for the hours that he picks up phone calls or does meetings, so.
So he's still spending 30 hours a month, you said?
I'll have to double check. I think so, but I will double check and get back to you guys later this week on that if that's okay.
That's a lot of calling.
well, yeah, if you've got to sharing the position, then it should really be kind of them taking that role on.
Or they have to start taking, I expect a few phone calls, but that's
That's a lot.
That's a lot of talking, 30 hours in a month. That's a lot of phone calls, and I guess if
That's
you
more
have
than
to
an
make
hour a
them, you
day.
have to make them, but.
Okay, I will come back with updated numbers then, so
So
take,
we'll kind of hold off on all of this and we'll bring it back up next month, or next meeting, next meeting, same thing.
I'll be updated, I promise, I will look at it.
All right, the next item then is the dedication of the tax proceeds. So those we would need to approve to send on to the county if we were gonna do those, correct?
the dedication of tax proceeds is actually, discussion of your guys' city debt retirement. Let me look at my agenda here quick.
Dedicate to anything, leave it there.
Yep, so what you're thinking, Levi, is letter E, nuisance abatement, special
Oh,
assessments.
gotcha, okay.
Yep, so, I brought this up, this is something that I'm supposed to do, every October, so now I know. So it'll be on an earlier agenda for October for next year.
Oh, what's the money that we received in from the sales tax and where we're gonna dedicate those to?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, yep.
Yep, so as of right now, you guys are currently sitting with, in your city debt retirement fund, with $211,048.99. Your sales tax is sitting with $456,062.61.
Wait, what was the first one again?
Sure, so that one is your city debt retirement.
Yep, okay.
$211,048.99.
And the next one was the sales tax?
Yeah, yes.
Well, they're both sales tax, but two separate ordinances.
Okay. Can
Yep.
any of that, you're talking about where to transfer those to?
Yes, and it's kind of nicely outlined in your guys' ordinance. So you've got your 5 priorities. I kind of listed them in an email, earlier last week. But section number 2 is, priority number 2 is to transfer to utility funds, just to help with utility rates. So I thought that one might be a decent one to kind of work off of. Let me find the rest of them here quick. Yep, okay, so your first priority is repayment of any debt that is causing a deficiency mill levy or within the next year is likely to cause a deficiency mill levy. Don't know of anything of that happening.
We will, the Kingman sewer is probably gonna have a deficiency, but that should be, I wanna say it's 40,000 or 35,000 that we generally transfer in. Last year we didn't have to transfer in, we had enough built up, but
Okay.
I think there was 35 in there.
In Kingman Sewer?
Yeah, does that sound right? Or 30 or somewhere around in there.
Trying
And I
to
wanna
find
say
it,
the
here we go.
payment's like 75 a year.
So right now there is negative,
Oh, negative.
yep, so what we've paid out of there this year is 63,120, and that is sitting with a negative balance of 34,624.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't
Yep.
transfer in.
Nope, there's nothing there.
So that payment was made, and plus the 17 that HEDC must have put in too.
Yes, yep, 17,142, and you guys started the year out at 11,352. Yep. But yeah, so there's priority number 1. Second priority, the repayment of any debt that has resulted in a utility rate increase or will result in a utility rate increase. Based on your guys' expected balances, like I was kind of talking about before, they'll be increased, which I support increasing to stay kind of with the times and to cover your expenses. So that's kind of my viewpoint. I think you guys kind of know that though. Third priority, any debt that is financed by special assessments, giving a first priority to a citywide assessment. There is a fund that we are not doing special assessments on anymore. That was completed last year. That's the Highway 200 project, 2008 Highway 200. You guys have 2 loans coming out for that. That might be nice to pay off. They're fairly small right now. 50,000 is the balance in one and 85,000 some odd dollars is the balance in the other. That would be Fund 527, and right now you've got 603,619 in there. So that might be kind of nice to be done with.
So 527 has the two loans,
Ye-
the 2008 highway,
Yes.
okay, and then you said something after that with the 600 and some thousand, what is that?
Yep, so Fund 527 has a balance of $603,619.
It has a balance, but it has two loans on
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I don't know, so the two projects, so Highway 2008 Highway 200, it was initially comprised of like 3 individual projects, that were, special assessed. A few of those payments, though, I've noticed are coming out of the water fund rather than coming out of where I believe it should be, out of 527. The water tower is being paid out of the water fund. And then, let me see what the other one is, refresh my memory. But yeah, we only paid 24,650 out of there this year, and we still brought in 85,091. So
Can that 603 be used to pay off those two loans and then be transferred out, or?
that's my hope. I was gonna double check with JR and Levi on it, but that would be my hope.
As long as they're done being paid off,
Yep, last year was the,
the last year of assessments.
last
'Cause if
year was the
at
last
any
year.
point that we pay off any assessment, as soon as we pay it off, we can no longer collect on it.
So there's no, so why was that paid off then? Not all the special assessments were paid?
Say that again, Paul?
Well, why would, if that was assessed, wouldn't it have been assessed for the cost of the project?
Should have been,
But
yeah.
but if things were getting transferred out of the wrong account
Yeah,
to
if
pay it
it's
off
out of mind.
prior to this, that's why it was getting built up.
Yep, so as of right now, I know for sure one payment, if not two, of this 3-section project is being paid out of the water fund. So we did narrow that down. So it's transparent, so.
Which the water tower was supposed to be paid out of the water fund, and the treatment plant was supposed to be paid out of the water fund.
Okay, so just the other section was supposed
Just
to,
the other sections was assessed. With the bond payments, or the bond was not bonded on the residents, it was bonded on utility rates coming from those two, or from the sale of
the
water.
base fees you're talking? Okay.
So does this 527 still collect revenue?
It will, so last year was the last year that we certified specials for that project, okay?
Oh, okay.
But if people haven't paid their taxes, we're still gonna collect for the next 2 years for sure, so.
So you said if the loans are paid off, then you can no longer collect? Or if you,
You can no longer assess.
or you
can no longer assess.
but you can still collect off of those.
Those late, or,
Yep. Yep.
Mine is like,
What was
So,
it, 527, what was the other one you said?
as far as
528 or?
for the city sales tax?
no,
No.
which ones are
Which
paid
ones you
off?
wanted to pay off?
Oh,
27.
yeah, so I should have brought the debt schedule over here. There's 2 Highway 200, projects that I would like to pay off. One is 85,000, the other is 50,000. I can pull up,
The other thing that I suggest that we pay off, and it's not due till 2026, so whether we pay it off this year or next year, is the building, the payloader, and the snow blower were put on so that there's a very large balloon payment at the end. And that will be in 2026.
26. Yep, next
That'll-
year's,
And how that is set up is that it comes out of taxes. So the county pays the loan, we don't. And it comes out of our tax roll. So they take the first, was it this year's?
sorry, what was that?
75?
No, 62,850, something like that.
62,850, so they take the first
750.
62,850 off of our payment and then pay off this Goose River Bank loan, and then, but this balloon payment is, I wanna say 200?
Yeah, it's like between 200 and 230.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's big.
In 2026.
in 2026.
So that was gonna be my next question. If there's money left over that could potentially be transferred, I know we've never really talked about it or done anything with it, but is it a potential of some of these things to pay some of it off, but also some to go into that cash reserve and then the rest to be transferred in? Are those possibilities?
I think so. I would,
Not in cash reserve on the one sales tax, on our, the second sales tax. The first sales tax you could, the second one is very specific as what you can use it for. You can only use it for those 5 priorities.
So you're talking about the city debt one?
that's the second one.
They
Yep,
should
city
be
debt
referred to
retirement.
as city debt and sales tax, and it's,
Yep.
because the city debt one has got more precise what it can be dedicated, whereas the sales tax is
Right.
a little more open.
But I was talking about 527 with that amount left over, is where I was talking.
That would have to go, if, correct me if I'm wrong, it has to go to the general fund first, and then we can transfer it out. Does
That's
that
what I was
sound right, JR?
wondering.
I believe so, yes.
That's how I remember it.
That's what I was wondering, is if that could be that and then kind of portioned out there so that we can build up a cash reserve, especially if you're looking at a 2026 payment that large.
And that was part of when, prior, I was trying to get our equipment fund built up so that we had that reserve in there.
Okay, sorry, and next priority.
Nope, that's okay. Totally good. Your fourth priority is any capital project that surpasses the required amount for bidding as set by the North Dakota Century Code. Well, you guys don't have anything that you're bidding right now. Fifth and final priority, capital projects for city buildings and infrastructure in amounts less than those projects for which bidding is required by the North Dakota Century Code. As of right now, we don't have anything like that to my knowledge. So priorities 1, 2, and 3 are, yep. Yep. So what I'm kind of asking for is your guys' blessing to figure out the best transfers for, I guess my priority is utility funds, to get those at a good base, just to start out 2025 with decent utility rates, but I know that's not always the common theme for everybody, so.
We transferred a lot of money last year into them accounts, didn't we? This year?
I could pull that up. We did transfer quite a bit, yeah.
$1 million.
Sewer fund was the biggest one. That one was awful. I could look it up. I just can't quite remember all the transfers, but we did about 2 million in transfers, 2.27, I think is what we did in transfers last year, so in December.
We didn't have a true-up completed this last year, which we should.
A true-up?
Which we should do, because I think the rates on their end probably have raised, and ours hasn't. I'm pretty positive on that.
Okay.
I don't know that we've changed the base rate.
I don't think we have, and I think that's why I keep going negative.
Correct.
So get a true-up done?
I think so, and I think if I read the last ones correctly, I think we're going up and we're still not going.
Have you
away.
seen the spreadsheet before, Casey?
Or
Or it should be there somewhere.
show me again and I'll tell you. I can't quite remember. I see so many spreadsheets.
So does a true-up if you suggest a projected rate increase to get us flat on every account?
Well, what it does is so some of our water is sold to East Central, so we sell it to them at.
I have not seen that one.
You have not seen this one?
No.
Like 1.5, $1.50 per cubic foot. And then at the end of the year, we're supposed to figure out, okay, did it cost us $1.50? or did it cost us more? And so it's just the water that we sell to East Central, not, because the partnership we have is that we're not supposed to go in debt with, it's supposed to be a break-even policy.
Because as part of that too, wouldn't you want to include the electric?
Correct, and that wasn't always included.
That wasn't always included, so,
No.
you know, if you're paying, because right now it seems like we're eating the electric and it's not, and they're not paying that part of it. We're eating the whole cost.
Well, they did, this last one they did,
They
in
did
21, it was 60,474 was the electricity. And it
When
was,
that? What month did that happen?
this was in 2021.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah, it was a 21 true up, so
Okay.
it's been a
That's
while.
why I haven't seen it.
Yes.
So Casey, after that completion, that would help you better project rate increases then?
I mean, yeah, it could, because right now I'm just kind of going off of more of the info that I know.
You're kind of going off what's being used, right?
Right, yep, I'm going off of what,
Averages?
right, yep, averages, and then what you guys are expecting to spend
Right.
is how I'm,
Should be like a slow progression, you know, a couple cents at a time, so
I-
like we're jacking up dollars at a time.
Right.
I wish it
Well,
would have
and
been.
yeah, that's the problem. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
assessments on properties that should have been done gradually too, and it just, you know, 4 or 5 years ago went through the roof, so.
Yep.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but prior years, before you guys were even on, some of those I had pushed to see gradual rate increases on some of it, because I said, we're not making money, but everybody wanted to hold off on it. Well, now we've hit this head of, okay, we have everything coming at once, and now we're, and the sewer by far was the worst one, because
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
Should we be
Well-
doing at least one increase a year?
We should be. I mean, and the last increase that we did on water was not covering our general expenses, it was covering the loan payments, so.
Well, and we increased garbage and electric in December last year. And garbage is finally, you know, over this year, it's coming out of the hole. That was a pretty steep increase.
Right.
Because I think you guys were charging either 14 or 16 bucks a can, and it was costing, you know, they do their own 3% increases at the end of each year, so we finally had to get it up to 20 and a half just to get out of the hole, and you guys are chipping away at it pretty good, so, yeah, I think, by the end of this year, it'll look really great, so.
I didn't think I'd have to replenish the whole garbage rate myself.
About the time, yeah.
When I
Don't
saw
have-
my increase. Well, I gotta have
Actually-
a spot there for everybody in town to put their garbage.
You know, this is actually finally the first month that you guys are in the positive for garbage, so good job, you guys.
Hey!
Yep, good feeling, let's go.
You were talking
So-
gradual, right, Nicole?
Yeah,
So we got garbage down.
we're just kinda like going straight up.
Okay,
So you're basically talking about 3 areas, the city debt, sales tax, and the 2008 Highway 200, right? And city debt and sales tax, you're looking at transferring to utility funds, bless you, to make up the deficiency or, and to help with the mill levy, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Did I get that right? Okay. And then the 2008 Highway 200 is to utilize that portion to pay off the $50,000 and $85,000 loan, and then afterward transfer the remaining.
Which one's the 55,000?
There's 50,000 and 85,000 out of those are the 2 loans.
yep,
Which
that are,
ones?
out of Fund 527, that 2008 Highway 200.
527, what else?
So out of 527, it'd be 50,000 and 85,000.
yep, and that would take care of your guys' 2 smallest loans. They can be paid off, I believe, within the next 4 years, but you have the dollars, why not pay them off now?
50.
Well, and it collects interest, right? Yeah, I'm not a fan of interest, so.
Yep, and then both of those are state revolving fund loans. You do have 2 additional ones on top of that. You know, one is 275,000, the other one is the big one for 755,000.
And that's when?
Those are
Wait.
out for a while, out for a ways, yep.
thought maybe I'd fall backwards on my chair.
No. No,
I handle
this,
so many of these numbers tonight, Casey.
I'm sorry. I should have better prepared you guys.
29 is the last year on the Highway 200.
Mhm.
And the water tower and the water treatment is paid off in 2031.
Yep.
And Kingmer Sewer is paid off in 2028.
But if we can get rid of some of these now to save on the interest to pay more off before then, we could potentially wipe a lot of that off.
Right, as long as they're, like I said, as long as they're not property tax assessed.
Yep.
So like Kingman Sewer, we can't pay off early.
So did you have ones, you started talking about which ones you exactly wanted, or are you gonna look at which ones you wanna do?
As far as paying
As
off,
far as what you wanna use the debt retirement money for?
I would ideally like to use, debt retirement to, kind of pay off some of those loans, or excuse me, I would like to first use it to work on your guys' utility rates. That would be my first priority.
What funds though? Like just one of the
It would,
split or?
So to help make this a little easier, should we postpone this and have Casey come up with a one-page spreadsheet of this is where we're gonna spend the money?
Could we request maybe a big spreadsheet like what Paul's got over there?
I'm basically looking for your blessing to kind of do what Levi said is kind of what I'm,
I think you have the blessing,
Yeah,
Okay.
I
figure it
believe so.
out, and
okay.
otherwise we'll be here all night trying to figure it out.
I'll just be on
Thank you.
repeat, question after
Somebody has to leave
question,
early in the
repeat,
morning.
repeat.
Perfect, yep.
All right, so then we'll move
Then
on.
get that again up, if it hasn't been updated, the one, that's your one where you,
This-
how new is that?
2022.
2022, can we get that updated?
Sure, yeah. Let me write those on my to-do list.
This one.
Yep, I know that one. Yep.
All right, next one is the nuisance abatement, special assessments per city ordinance. This is the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah. So if you guys read my email from earlier today, I did not feel that it would have been in good interest to assess all of those delinquent accounts, that I showed you earlier this year, without doing investigation into them. And there were just a lot of them that we could have tried to look for the old owners and maybe did, gone through, collections and done that. But I just made an assessment on my beliefs with delinquent bills and, based it off of, are there new owners to these properties? Are they renters? Are they not? We kind of looked at their history. Some of the accounts that I printed off for you guys back in August were very old. And it was just one of those things where it's like, what is in the best interest of, of the city? So these are the 10 that I would like to assess.
And these are the ones that I think are
routinely on your list.
yeah, and
Yep.
they're here, like they didn't move or anything.
These people on this list are still on this one?
No.
No.
The only one that is, and I asked Sarah about this to see if they paid, was, it would be number 3 on my list that I gave you guys. But no, the rest of those, these are all zeroed out accounts. And if they're not zeroed out, they're very in the hole. They have their electric turned off, and then like the one, number 9, with $670, that one's, I don't know what you want me to do there, but again, routinely on the list. Sorry. Do you guys need copies? I can send mine around if you need. So I didn't print out this for you guys, I'm sorry.
And sometimes they're shut off and they still are using garbage and water services, so.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep. But yeah, these ones, a lot of them are rentals. A lot of them we have tried reaching out to in multiple ways, no response. Or one of them on the list called Abby and said, sorry, I'm not going to make a payment, figure it out. So this is kind of,
Some of these don't even own this properties anymore, so how are you gonna do that?
I checked on the taxes, or I checked on the Trail County GIS website, and this is, we have a few other names on here. GGL1 owns the Sunny Memes ones. There's 2 of them on there.
But as JR has said before, according to our ordinances, it goes to the property, not to the individual.
Mhm.
So we'll end up with the same problem we had before
Possibly.
with the trailer.
But it won't be that large of an account.
But it comes off on the county statement, so maybe they won't know.
Maybe they're big enough, they won't even catch that one. So.
Maybe.
But yeah, a lot of the other ones on that first big list too, it was, like renters or people moving out, who you could just kind of tell just based on the payment history, they were good payers. And I'm making the assumption that they were told that their bill would be an approximate amount. They paid a flat dollar amount, whether it was $260, $300, whatever it may be, and it maybe didn't cover the entirety of their final bill, but they were told that this should be your last bill. So then that small remainder stayed on their bills and accrued interest. There were a lot of those.
So then with this, you need a motion to approve to put these.
I would like that, yes, please.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to send these to the county, or what do you want to do that?
Yes, please, yep.
Moved by Paul, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jason, is there any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me, motion carries.
Okay, thank you guys. Also, did you guys want to have an open meeting for people to come in and ask about these bills? Or do we just want to put them on the property taxes?
Are we required to have an open meeting?
I don't think so. JR, do you know?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, perfect.
They know about them, they were built originally, that's the way I see it.
Okay, perfect.
No
Won't
one
worry
is,
about it.
because you said he wasn't gonna pay.
Yep. Yep.
Check was in the mail, Paul.
Yeah. He probably won't come to city commission and say, I didn't know
This
anything
one
about
has,
this.
this one has said it. That one has said it. Yeah, so. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, that's all I had for that, so.
Thank you. The next item, Bio Girls is a youth group here in town. They asked if they could use the community centers in the spring, at no cost if possible. Just need approval for that. Once
It's once a week, isn't it?
once a week. If
For 6 to 8 weeks or something.
it's mostly in the spring, it's not in the fall. It would be Tuesdays from 6 to 7:30, March, April, and mostly through May. Or, I mean, the other option, if you don't want them using this, they could use the armory as well, so.
I don't have a problem with them using it.
I don't have a problem with them using it unless we have somebody else that normally uses it, that's paying.
And that's
They use
always,
it every year,
that's
I don't know when
always,
Trans System does their stuff, use that during the day, I think, but.
and that's always the case that we've done with any groups that are the Boy Scouts, any of those. They can use it as long as there's not a paying rental agreement.
Yeah, no problem.
Just
Need a motion for that?
need a motion for that.
I make a motion that the Bio Girls can use the community center when it's available.
Is there a second? Moved by Paul, seconded by Nicole.
For free, sorry.
Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And a yes for me. The last item is raffle permit for the fire department. And you should have seen that. We just need approval for that.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Nicole, seconded by Paul. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Anything tonight?
I'll be a citizen.
Hmm?
I'll be a citizen. I think we should talk about dogs for a minute. We have to figure that out, and it should be put on agenda for the next meeting. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do. People are getting upset about this. I don't know what we're gonna do. We gotta come up with something.
There's posts every week on Facebook.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And I don't know, I don't know, I guess that one post was that every time I go out, I get chased by a dog. Well, if that be the case, we should be able to have Jason follow them. And when the dog chases them, Jason can go and talk to the homeowner. You know, if it's that bad. You know, I couldn't imagine going out walking with my dogs and worried about a dog chasing out in the street. You know, I wouldn't like it. You know, and I don't know how big a problem it is. I don't know, but I think we need to find out.
I don't know.
Maybe those people need to come to a meeting and express that, because I think that we need to put it on the agenda, and maybe we'll get somebody that'll come. If we put it on the agenda, then we'll find out how big a problem it is, and encourage those people to come and show and tell us the instances of where they're having an issue with this going on. And licensing, you know, I'm pretty sure there's not many that are licensed in town, you know, and we don't know anything about that either. So I think I need to talk about it. If you don't want to do anything, that's fine, but I think we need to, you know, it's
Pretty
an
sure
issue.
every other house has a dog in it, or in the yard, or in.
Well, the gentleman that was here tonight with the dog, I'm sure that's part of the reason why he was here, to see if we talk about that. So, because there's people, and when they call me, I just tell them to call the sheriff. I said, because there's nothing I can do about it. I said, and now I know that you guys are still trying to find a place, but if we can't find a place, what are we gonna do? We gotta do something, you know? Are we gonna have to buy a kennel and pay somebody to take care of the dogs? I guess we have to do that if we have to do it. You know, that should be our responsibility as a city, you know, if it's gonna cost us, you know, that maybe to get your dog out of the pound, maybe you're gonna pay $1,000. And that fund is used to pay that person that's feeding them. I don't know. You know, I'm open to suggestions, but just doing nothing, you know, I don't think is the answer. And we have to come up with an answer. And maybe those people that have issues with it, maybe they need to come to a meeting and somebody has to, unless you guys have an idea, I don't know. I don't have a dog, so, you know.
In our area, we have everybody has fences, so the majority of our dogs in our neighborhood are fenced up, so I know that it could be costly for someone to put a fence in, but it's not as costly to put a collar on. You know.
And the way I understand it, it sounds like dogs that are in people's yards that are just running, they're not tied up or on a leash, so when they come walking by, they come running on the street, that's what it sounds like.
And that's my curiosity, you know, is same area, same dog, from the same household.
Well, that's my point is, if it happens that often,
Right.
they need to call the sheriff department. If every time I walk by Nicole's house, a dog comes chases me, all it takes is Jason to go and talk to him a couple times, and they'll probably figure out they gotta do something.
Put them on a chain or.
Put them or put them in the house or whatever it is, you know, you do have some responsibility, you know, and I tell people, I said, your dog may be the friendliest dog in the world, but that guy walking down the street, or that girl walking down the street doesn't know that.
Well,
you know, especially if they come barking at them, they could be pretty scary, you know. So I think we should put it on the agenda and see if we get people to come and talk about it, and figure out what we're gonna do coming into, you know, maybe it won't be too bad now going in the winter, because there's maybe not as many people walking their dogs around, but
there's still quite a few that
out
walk.
walking, exercising, you know. I'm just curious as to how big of a problem it is. You know, yeah, you had a handful of people talk about it, but is that all that there is? I don't know. If there's 10 people that talk about it, does that mean there's another 10 or 20 that don't talk about it? So.
If I'm honest, it's almost like our city's becoming dumping grounds for dogs. People don't want them, they'll just dump them here in Hillsboro. I swear that's what it is. There's random dogs I've never even seen before.
And I think that even the case, and I don't know how it works, when you see a dog, what do you guys do? It's not tied on a leash or licensed, what's the procedure?
Find the owner and return it, and after a couple of times, they can get citations and put them to court.
It's generally,
But we don't have anywhere to store them.
right, but after you return them to them, do they get Does anybody ever get a citation?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and so that's my point is it helping? Are you picking up them dogs again next week?
A little of both,
A little both.
Depends on the person.
yeah.
Oh, no, they make really good devices these days. Where you know,
Yeah, I know my neighbor, he doesn't have, you know, he doesn't have them on a leash, but they don't leave his yard because he's got control, you know.
But I definitely have noticed a lot more seem to be being dumped.
really.
Maybe I just don't see them on our end of town, but I'll see them running more on this.
Yeah, I don't see them on our end. That's
But,
too bad in Port
You know, I think we'd be doing an injustice to our community if we don't figure out a way to address it. You know, and I know at one time you looked at it and you found maybe a dog shelter of some sort or something too, you know. And we just gotta figure out a way to do that, and as far as cost to hire somebody to do that, or pay somebody to do that, you know, you just figure it into, you know, if I gotta pay somebody to come and do this, well, that's gonna have to be included in when you come pick up your dog.
What is our fee? JR, is it 1,000?
I wanna say everything's 1,000.
Yeah, it sure seems like everything's.
When we drafted them, we made it easy.
Easy to remember that way, so, but,
Just makes it hard for people to walk their, you know, walk with their kids around town, walk
Right.
with their pets that are trained properly.
and is it deterring people? You know, they go out a few times and this happens and they don't even wanna do it anymore,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
I just wanted to let the people know that because it just kind of bothers me, because it's not the first time this has happened. We've been having people complain about this before, so.
But until we have a solution,
But, well, that's
we
what.
can't wait.
Well, I'm curious
gotta come up
what
with a
other
solution.
communities, I mean, we can't possibly be the only community for dog issues,
I
could
don't know.
we?
I don't think so.
What's that?
I'm just curious, like, on the other communities, you know, if there's that many being dumped here, are they being dumped everywhere? And, you know, what are the communities doing, or why are they getting
I
dumped
think
here?
it's
I
just
don't know.
interstate convenience.
Halfway between Fargo and Grand Forks.
That's so sad.
It's a big enough town where people don't necessarily notice it.
The Portland City Council had an identical conversation Thursday.
Who did?
Portland City Council.
Portland did?
What was their solution?
Mike's still on?
Motion to adjourn.
I will put the dogs on the next
Yes.
agenda, our next meeting. Maybe we'll put something out to remind people of it. Well, maybe we'll set a time that we'll do it, so not everybody has to be here at 6:30. Maybe we'll set it at 7:30, so it's a exact time.
Sounds good.
And make it, you know, let them know that what we're looking at is how big of an issue is it? If we set up a meeting and 2 people show up, well, you know, are we gonna change the whole world because 2 people, you know? So I think people have to, you know, if it's an issue, they have to come and say something. So.
One you'd seen is that on the community group page.
Well, they could share it wherever they want it on our Hillsboro. I'm sure it'll be put on ours. We can't do anything with the community one. They can share it if they want, I suppose, but that's up to them, so.
Okay, anything else? Paul made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Nicole. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting is adjourned.